Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another live edition of the WGSN-DB Going Solo Veterans Corner on the new streaming network.com. Want to thank you for joining us this evening, and it's great to have all of you who are watching the show. And then, of course, for the audience that watches the recordings, we really appreciate your participation because it's thanks to you that we've been able to make a list of podcasts to watch here in Northern Virginia. And of course, podcasts searching for veterans information and veteran services. So we appreciate your participation in helping us achieve those accolades. It's always good to be back with you live. So we appreciate you being on. First, I want to take just a minute to thank our two sponsors, Nationwide IT Services. NIS is a service-disabled veteran-owned small business owned by retired Army Warrant Officer C.K. Park. CK and his crew are available to help your business with whatever you may need, whether it's performance assessment, professional development, security, IT security. His folks are set up to help you with whatever you need. So give him a call. There's his information there in Fairfax, Virginia. They'll be more than happy to talk with you. I also want to thank Hill & Ponton. Hill & Ponton, PA are veteran disability attorneys located in Florida. They have been in business for over 30 years, and their goal is to help veterans and their families navigate the VA and ensure that they have the resources they need to actually get the benefits that they have earned. So if you know someone who's struggling, dealing with the VA and trying to navigate that myriad of mazes they have there, Hill & Ponton are the folks to talk to. They also have free webinars on there to provide information, so check them out. We're very grateful to have both of our sponsors. I also want to mention Heroes Bridge. Heroes Bridge is a veteran service organization in Warrenton, Virginia. They are concentrating on veterans over the age of 65. And they are in the process of building a new veterans housing village where they want to give housing to homeless veterans, about 52 units they're looking at. But in the meantime, they are providing all kinds of outreach services to veterans across the area. So we want to thank them for being there and doing what they're doing. Check them out, heroesbridge.org. I also want to mention Wreaths Across America. As you know, Wreaths Across America is the organization that provides those wreaths that go to Arlington and our veteran cemeteries across the nation each year. You can go to wreathsacrossamerica.org and you can donate to help fund those wreaths. You can volunteer. We're also grateful to have a broadcast agreement with them so that you can listen to the recordings of my show every Monday afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on their national radio network. You can see the site there. If you add the word radio to the site, you can go on there and you can find the little icon where you can click on the radio and it'll turn up live on their network. You can also go to iHeartRadio, Spotify, and search for Wreaths, and you'll be able to find it. So we appreciate them broadcasting with us and having a great partner. All right, so let's get started for our show this evening. And I want to welcome back a couple of gentlemen we had on before. And it's great to have them on. Tommy Whitehead is the CEO of Tomco Solutions down in Tampa. And, of course, his vice president, Matt Klaus. And Matt is a Navy veteran, so they've been on the show before talking about the SkillBridge program. And we're glad to have you guys back with us this evening.
We are absolutely happy to be here. Right before the show, we were just talking to your producer about the weather in Tampa versus where you're at in Virginia. And, it's really cold here with a low of 60, and that's your high right now.
Rough. It's rough.
It's rough here in sunny Florida, man. It's difficult.
Well, we're glad to have you guys back, freezing or not, as you are down there in the 60s in Florida. No, it's great. And I mentioned before the show that I actually saw a YouTube short today about the SkillBridge program. And I thought, what a coincidence. So I clicked on it and learned a couple of things that I really did not know because, well, they were just kind of more in depth, the information he was giving. So what I'd like to do is, first of all, Tommy, if you would just give us and Matt, you feel free to chime in as well, but just give us a brief overview before we get started on the SkillBridge program, what it is and what it does.
Sure. So the SkillBridge is a wonderful program for veterans transitioning out of military service into civilian life. So Matt and I have had extensive conversations about this. I have not served, but we are very supportive of veterans, and Matt runs, the entire construction division of the company. And the conversations have gone like this with everybody. It's, hey, we've dedicated years of our lives, sometimes decades of our lives, to the service, where they tell you what to wear, where to be, what to eat. And then you go into civilian life and you don't even know how to get a resume together or talk to a potential employer. And it's terrifying. And, we wanted to be here to support those veterans that have put so many years of service in and bring them into the civilian workforce by giving them that grace that other employers may not give them, understanding that they're kind of like high schoolers all over again. They're learning new things.
Yeah. So I thought it was so interesting that this program, so the service members can apply to the program, and if they're accepted, then they're allowed to come out into the communities and work for companies such as yours, like Tomco, and learn a trade for up to around 6 months before they retire. And it gives them an opportunity to get a leg up. Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
I was going to say, not only is it a great opportunity for veterans to get some real world experience, kind of while they're adjusting to being civilians, but it's also great for us employers because we get people that have those leadership skills, that dedication, that can-do attitude, that come on and get an opportunity to kind of feel them out and see if they're a good fit for our company as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I sit and watch that thing today, like I said, I learned a little bit more, and it was pretty in depth, the information he gave. So Tommy, let me kind of circle back to you, and then we'll talk about this some more as we go through. But so your business is you have a construction business there that does building and refurbishment and contractor type of work down in the Tampa area. So tell us a little bit about your business and how you got started in the SkillBridge program.
Sure. So our motto is building homes and building community. We are heavily ingrained in our community, whether that's construction processes like helping our community recover from the devastating hurricanes we had a little more than a year ago, back to back. We're still working on jobs from those hurricanes, and some of them just started thanks to insurance and delays with permitting. But we work on residential construction and light commercial construction. But when we talk about building community, everybody thinks, oh, you build full subdivisions. No, that's not what we mean. Building community is about creating relationships with the community members. That might be sponsoring the sea turtle rehabilitation tank that we do for our local aquarium. That might be helping the 4-year-old child with leukemia celebrate his birthday, going to assisted living facilities for seniors with disabilities or mental care issues, or in this case, helping our veterans, not only with the SkillBridge program, which has been a great program for us, but even working with the local VFW, and Matt's actually given paid time off to serve in his local VFW. And so building community is very important, and especially our veteran community. Matt leads our construction division now, and he relies on his years of military service to help get him ready, get the troops per se pumped up, keep everybody happy, and occasionally pacify resistance on a disgruntled customer.
Yeah. So Matt, you had served 5 years in the Navy, and
I did about 5.5 years as a Navy CB. So we kind of the construction force of the Navy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I grew up down on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and they had the CB base right there. In Gulf those years. Yeah.
I went to A school there.
Yeah. It's. I always thought that was interesting as a kid. I grew up an Air Force brat, but I used to go to the CB base all the time. because it was closer.
You made the right choice.
Yeah. So you with your military background, how did you learn about SkillBridge while you were still in the service? And is that how you ended up coming to work at Tomco?
No. So, I got out back in 2006. And I'll tell you, if the SkillBridge program did exist back then, we certainly never heard about it, as a lowly E4 in the Navy. There was transition assistance programs, the TAPS programs, they call it, that kind of gave you a little bit of counseling and stuff like that on your way out. But nothing as great as I think the SkillBridge program is for separating or retiring veterans.
So I imagine it was a good fit for you to walk in there and work with Tommy there, bringing people in.
Yeah. So, give you a little bit about my background. So I did construction in the Navy. That's really where I learned kind of the fundamentals of it. And when but I was the guy that was, using the shovel, pulling the concrete, so on and so forth. And I looked at these guys that had 20 some years in, and I'm like, man, these guys are beat up. Like, that ain't me. Like, construction's hard, So, so I used my VA benefits, used the GI Bill, went to school, and thought I was going to go down a more corporate route, until I determined that, that cubicle life was not for me. I did not enjoy it. And so I went back to my construction roots and realized I really love construction when I'm not the guy using the tools. I like it a lot more leading those guys that are using the tools.
Well, I got to tell you, I can understand, because when I was younger, just my late high school days and just out of high school before I started college, I actually worked for a construction company down in Gulfport, and we were building homes in Diamond Head, Mississippi, and then out in Pass Christian, out in Ocean Springs, we built a florist shop. So yeah, I was digging footings, pouring concrete as a youngster. I learned how to do all that, and I learned how hard it was. So Tommy, you so how when you bring these folks on board, what are you hoping to accomplish when you bring these folks on through SkillBridge?
At the very worst, we're hoping to give them a 6-month runway to adjust to civilian life, figure out what a civilian job looks like, and be comfortable in the workforce, whether they're with us or not. At the very best, we're hoping we find somebody that wants to stay with us long term. And so we've had instances where veterans have come out of into the SkillBridge program, worked with us for months, were hired on, and then said, you know what, guys, we kind of missed the service. We might go back. Or one went to law enforcement. They like the structure of law enforcement, which was similar to the service without as many restrictions. And we weren't upset at all. We were happy that we got to spend that time with him and give him that, like I said, that runway to get used to civilian life in an environment where he's not going to get written up or forced out of employment, unless it's something, egregious, which they don't do. It just gives them grace and gives them a minute to deprogram themselves, is what I like to say, for a little bit. And so, it's awesome. And so many people, think, oh, you're a construction company, you're only hiring trade workers. That's not true. One, there's every type of company out there that can participate in SkillBridge, from office work to social media to medical assisting to IT. And every company like mine, we're a construction company, but we have marketing people, we have office people, we have estimators, we have designers, we have so many different elements. So sometimes we've even gone out and looked for our marketing department for candidates. So the SkillBridge program isn't just for construction folks or people trying to get interested in construction. It really is for a litany of basically any type of career.
I noticed that they even talk about large companies who participate in it. And so Matt, when these folks come aboard, you being the veteran in the group, is there anything in particular you try to do to help them? What do you do when these military folks come to work with you?
Well, I'll tell you, when I got out, I was stationed out in Port Hueneme, California, which is the CB base on the other side of the country. And I got out, I moved down here to Florida, and I kind of knew nobody, and it's a tough transition going from the military to the civilian world. When these guys come in, they're fresh out of uniform, they're ready to take on the thing, and it's kind of working with them and helping them to kind of adjust to just being a civilian life, being having somebody that can relate to their stories and stresses and stuff like that while learning something new, if they don't have a construction background. But really it's providing a support network for them to say, hey, you're not alone. Like, what do you need? How can we help you? And just having that relationship to be able to say, look, I've been there. I know what it's like, man. And it gets easier.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand as a fellow veteran, you've kind of been through some of what they're experiencing. And I remember when I was getting ready to retire, I was fortunate because while I was in the military, I had a chance to go to finish grad school, and my master's was in HR. So I was pretty adept at dealing with resumes, writing resumes, doing things like that. But these are skills that a lot of young military people coming out, and even some of the career soldiers who, like we used to say in the Army, spent their entire career in hua positions, in infantry and artillery and armor and all that stuff. And, they never dealt with any of that. So you guys giving them that transition opportunity seems to be really great. Well, Tommy,
it's great that you just to follow on that. It's great that you had those HR skills. I've literally gotten emails saying, "Hey, I'm interested in your SkillBridge." I don't even get their name sometimes, and so you can tell, any other employee, man, if employee's coming into your private business saying, "I want to work for you," and doesn't even sign it with a name or phone number, are you even going to return that email?
Right.
Yeah,
you're not. But we know where they're coming from. And so at the very least, I'll respond, "Hey, thanks for your interest. However, you need to tell me a little bit more about yourself. Where's your resume? What's this? Do you need help with any of this stuff?" Just so that even if they made a really bad impression with us, I don't want to hold it against them. I want to say, "Hey, fix this." So the next time you email somebody, maybe include your name, and we'll go from there, or try a resume or something, so that you can get somebody's attention. Because some of these positions can be kind of competitive when there's two positions.
Yeah. Well, it's
open,
and that's
100 service members wanting to try to get it.
I'll add to that if I can for just a moment. I'm sorry.
Now those so those are the emails you want to attach a song link to "Who Are You" by The Who, right?
And I'll add to that for just a second here. Say one of the great things about Tomco is that we're very heavily involved in the community. We attend a lot of different networking events and stuff like that. So even if somebody's not a great fit for us, we have such a large network that we have the ability to kind of introduce them to different people, where they may not have that opportunity to kind of step in right out of the service into the civilian sector.
Yeah, I mean, I just think this is such a great program that you guys are working in. We're gonna take just a short break, and when we come back on the other side, we're gonna continue our discussion with the two gentlemen we have here, Tommy and Matt, and we'll find out some more about the program and what they're doing now down in the community. So hold on for those of you watching, and we'll be right back.
See ya.
everything you had. You sacrificed your comfort, your peace, and sometimes even your well-being. Over 3 decades, Hill & Ponton has helped to be a guiding light for veterans seeking their rightful disability benefits. When our heroes are in need, we are not just lawyers. We're an ally, a team who understands the struggles you faced. If you're a veteran seeking the benefits you deserve, let us stand with you on this journey, because every battle deserves a hero, and no hero should fight alone.
Welcome to NewStreamingNetwork.com. The future of streaming is here. Looking for bold, diverse, and engaging content? New Streaming Network brings you the best in TV, podcast, and radio, all in one place. From entertainment and lifestyle to business and inspiration, we're streaming what matters most to you anytime, anywhere, on Roku, multiple TV stations, and numerous podcast platforms, and WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio. Watch, listen, and connect. Join millions already tuning in. Visit NewStreamingNetwork.com. Start streaming today.
All right. Welcome back, everyone. And again, we want to thank those great sponsors that we have. And you've been listening to the WGSN-DB Going Solo Veterans Corner. And of course, our guest tonight is Tommy Whitehead, the CEO of Tomco Solutions down in Tampa. And of course, Matt Klaus, the Vice President and the Navy veteran who works with Tommy. And we've been talking about the SkillBridge program and how it helps service members make that transition from the military into the civilian workforce. So Tommy, let me just kind of continue on here. And, you know, do you, knowing that the economy fluctuates so much, and I know you guys have had the storms down there in Florida, and you're still working, I believe, down in Madeira Beach, Florida, and some places like that, working after the storm. But how is the foreseeable future of the construction industry down there? And, you know, of course, you consider that, I'm sure, when you're bringing people on.
Yeah, construction's always booming. In Florida, in California, in other areas that suffer disasters almost annually, it's booming just because of Mother Nature. Our economy is pretty good here in the Tampa Bay market. We're consistently rated in top economies around the country, which is generating more construction jobs. My office is downtown Tampa, and from 2 different windows, we can see 2 different high-rise towers going up. And it's only because there's lack of land that there aren't more. So construction is in demand, and it always will be. It just pivots. So if the economy's souring and commercial buildings are going down, residential goes up, or vice versa. Or the economy has no effect on a disaster happening in the community. Nonprofit work has construction, you know, as our aquarium's doing a massive multi-million-dollar expansion, as our award-winning Museum of Arts is doing $100 million expansion. So there's always work in the construction industry. It's one of those things that just doesn't go away. The challenge we have is that about 40% of the construction workforce is retiring in the next 5 years, and we don't have enough people to replace them. And when Matt and I went to high school, our generation was told, just go to college. You're going to get a 6-figure job if you get that degree. And so most of us listened and went to college. And those 6 figures were nowhere to be found when we got those diplomas. And so, you know, it was almost stigmatized to be in the trades. Now, Matt and I are both fortunate to have gone to college and gotten into the trades, which I mean, I don't know about you, Matt, but I credit my knowledge on both, learning the trades and college. But too many people were told, don't get your hands dirty. And now we're in a shortage of plumbers and electricians and roofers. We have kids coming out of high school from welding programs, 18-year-old kids getting $100,000 job offers because they practiced welding for 4 years in high school. I mean, what would you have done at 18 with a $100,000 salary? It'd been pretty crazy, I bet.
Probably got in trouble.
Well, I would have gotten a lot of trouble myself. I probably had more than one kid.
Yeah, so I was going to mention that too as a follow-on, that, you know, I'm assuming that, this is an important program for you guys, because I was going to talk about the possible shortage of people skilled in those trades in a lot of areas. I know that the business where I take my vehicles whenever I need a repair done, I've got a very reputable repair place up here, and they've been in business for a long time. And over the last about year and a half that I've been in there for various things, he'll tell me that they are struggling to get qualified mechanics in and keep qualified, mechanics. And so I know that sometimes in some cases, the trade jobs tend to kind of suffer a little bit, maybe because of the stigma, that people don't associate them with a good living or, whatever it is. So I guess, I can see how that's very important, for you guys to be doing that. So Matt, did you ever? Go ahead.
Here at Tomco, we're trying to overcome generational stigma. I like how you said that. And that's why we focus so much on our community efforts. That why is a construction company helping little kids in the foster system celebrate birthdays? Those two things don't matter. They don't mix, right? Well, it does to us. I mean, it's part of our identity. We both had issues as children and grew up kind of poor. So helping with children is important. Tomorrow, I'm going to spend a day shadowing a principal at an elementary school. Normally, these are just kind of like photo op situations. Show up and talk to the kids. Had a conference call with the principal, and I said, I'm cool to talk to the kids, but really my value is to you as the principal. I'm a CEO of multi-million-dollar companies. Do you think I could shadow you and help you with like things here and there? That has nothing to do with construction. I'm not going to get a construction job off of it, but it has to factor in with showing that construction companies are more than just a couple of people with hammers. We're very passionate community members.
Yeah, I mean, and just being able to outreach into the community can make so much difference, and with especially with the number of people we have that could use the help, use the information in today's society. So Matt, did you ever think did you ever think in your wildest dreams that you'd be doing something like this, taking your military experience and using it in a construction business like you are?
I like I said, I'm not sure if it was before the show or while we were on the show here, but I didn't think construction was for me at all. I certainly never thought that I'd find happiness doing what I'm doing. I'll tell you, I worked doing various different companies doing construction. I've worked across the whole United States. I feel very fortunate that I'm here at Tomco. Like it's really been, Tommy and I we feed off one another. We both have, having come from similar backgrounds, we're passionate about what we do. We're passionate, about the community. We're not just the construction. I think we like to believe like construction's fun too, and so it's not always just about getting the job done. I mean, that's important, but we make it fun. We have a good time. And I never thought that I'd be doing something that I truly love. And I'll be the first one to say I don't love it every day, but for the most part, it really, it's in my soul. I don't know how to be any other. I can't imagine being anything else at this point in my life.
Yeah. I mean, well, they always say you should enjoy what you're doing. And, if you enjoy what you're doing, it doesn't really feel like work. Those are what they say, except for on those some days, right?
on those some days, it feels like work for sure.
So tell us a little bit more about what you guys are doing down in Madero Beach with some of the hurricane repair.
So let's stay on topic, right? With veterans resources. So Madera Beach. So we work in the greater Tampa Bay area, all over Hillsborough, Pinellas, Pasco, Hernando, and Manatee counties. But you said Madera Beach. Let's talk about Madera Beach. Madera Beach is one of our projects that make us very, very proud, and that is a local VFW center that became flooded. They had initial estimates that were reasonable estimates for demolition and tear out, and we came in and beat them by tens of thousands of dollars and won the construction project. We've helped get them media influence. We are trying to help them fundraise, and we're helping them navigate this very complex process of upgrading your building when some of the insurance doesn't cover upgrades because it was such an old center. Now, I'm pleased to say we finally have permit as a few weeks ago. That's how long it took. is a few weeks ago to get their permit, and we're chugging along trying to get them back into a brand new looking, center so that veterans can, go and relax and be home with their fellow VFW members. And Matt's exceptionally passionate about this as being a VFW himself member, both at the post member at his local post and a district member. And so, it's a perfect mesh. We could have made more money if we charged retail, but we wanted to help our community.
Yeah, I think that's not only important, but, I think that shows to, how can I say, that basically shows to the ethics of you guys and your company and, what you think is important. Because I can tell you, I've told my wife this a number of times, as an old retired military guy, I retired back in 2001. I spent a second career working for the federal government in DC and retired. But I told my wife, I said, I still felt, and to this day still feel more at home around my fellow veterans. And, that's why one of the reasons why I enjoy doing this show, I volunteer. I mentioned Heroes Bridge earlier in the show. I do volunteer work out there. I do outreach to other veterans groups. And for me, that camaraderie that we had in the military, and I'm sure that, Matt, you could identify with that as a veteran yourself. And Tommy, you probably see it. To me, it's just something that is there. It's something that's important. And it's something that I think a lot of veterans and ones who have been on the show talk about, that desire to give back like you guys are trying to do to those veteran organizations.
Yeah, I'll kind of jump in here for just a second and say, this veteran organization, the VFW, this post here in Madeira Beach, it's not even my post. I'm a part of a different post there, but they're one of our sister posts. And I'll tell you, what a great group of people. Even without a post, and even with everything that they're going through from recovering for the hurricanes, they're still doing food drives for kids. They're still helping veterans. They're still going to the VA hospitals and donating their time. I mean, this is a group of people that they're giving back to the community tenfold. So the more that we can do to help them, I mean, it's great. And it 100% fulfills our promise of building community. If by no other, association than the fact that we're helping them to be able to get back into a place so that they have a physical location to work their operations out of.
So are you using some of your veterans who came through SkillBridge? Are they getting the opportunity to work on that project?
We have used some of them in the past. We are currently in a new cycle of interviewing new SkillBridge candidates.
Yes, if you're looking for a job, let us know.
Our last candidates, they did well with us, and they decided that construction wasn't for them, which is okay. We weren't mad. We let them have the time to experience, and they lifelong wanted to be in construction until they got into it. And that was fine. We helped them with glowing recommendation letters. We helped them find the spot they want. And we even paid them after the program until they found their new jobs. And so we're looking forward to our next round of candidates that we can train in the construction industry.
Little slip of the tongue there. So you guys see this as a win-win program for everybody.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, Tommy, as a business owner that's deeply involved in this, other companies out there that may hear you talk about this, how can they get involved in it if they don't know anything about it?
I think you guys have the link, and I'm sure you'll flash that up on the screen in just a little bit. But there's a website out there. There you go, right up on the screen, the SkillBridgeOSI.mil, and it tells you all the details on how to go through it, right? So essentially what it is you have to put some information about your business, take a brief ethics course. It's not very difficult. If you find it difficult, it's probably not the program for you to be in. And write a quick curriculum. And, with artificial intelligence these days, it is not that difficult to write a basic training program. It's just a guideline, because we all know the training manual is only about 50% accurate anyways, right? It's going to be on the job and go to flow, but it's not that bad. Once you pass those criteria, you can post job openings. And so if you have an IT service and you're looking for new techs, because cybersecurity is a big thing right now, then these veterans coming out can do that. If you have a veterinarian business and a former field medical tech wants to be in the animal field, that's a great way to transition. And you get 6 months. Yeah. 6 months as an employer with no wages, all the expenses taken care of by the SkillBridge program. And basically, I or Matt would be their commanding officer for their last 6 months, where they report to us. Is essentially how that worked. But it's ideal for businesses, especially those smaller ones in growth phase that, need to take that next level up, need some extra labor, need some extra help, but don't have that payroll money, especially not for some of these guys come out pretty skilled. I mean, one of our guys was a pilot, and that's a pretty skilled profession to come out. He's good with math, he's good with numbers, he's good with communication. You have to be if you're a pilot. So that is, it was just such a rewarding program, and we're so happy that we're a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's and the last time you guys were on, I thought this was a really great program, and I've actually learned some more this time talking with you about it. So if you would, before we close out though, share with me, you talked about, trying to give back to the community and, working with the VFW, helping them rebuild. If you would, Tommy, take a minute and just kind of share with us, what else are you doing in the community now as a business owner? Because I know you guys stay pretty active.
We stay very active. So company-wide, we pay 4 hours a month for each employee to volunteer at a charity of their choosing. Not only do we do that, but I'll give you an example of how we promote that charity. Is we have a group of people that like to walk elderly dogs for the Humane Society. Said, cool, I want you to make a post about that. And then they made a post, and I said, meh. I said, that just says Tom Co. let me volunteer. I'm not trying to look for credit. What are you doing? Who's that dog in the picture? And they said, oh, the dog Piper. I said, make a post telling me about Piper. Piper's this cool elderly dog that loves to lick your face and walk and sleep by your feet. And I'm like, okay, that's great. Now tell people how they can adopt Piper. Yeah. And then tag the Humane Society. Yeah. And then I said, tag our network, because our network's so expansive. And guess what happened? Piper found a home. That was pretty cool, just by paying our employees, right, to go do that. We do other things like Matt and I are going shopping. We provide meals to 10 veteran families for Thanksgiving. We're very excited about that. We both were food insecure when we were kids. And so we understand what that's like. My sister is a veteran that's food insecure, and I support her family and help with those things. So I know how much that means when a big turkey shows up out of nowhere for you. We are big supporters of the environment. So we have a sea turtle rehabilitation tank. That this is where sea turtles go if they're injured or cold stunned, and it's owned by a nonprofit, the Florida Aquarium, which has been named one of the nation's top aquariums, and they have a rehab and rehabilitation center that we sponsor a tank there. We have helped a program called Celebrate Birthdays that helps kids in the foster systems have birthdays by getting a little box with balloons and cake mix and other presents and that kind of stuff. And
the kids nursing home.
The kids nursing home. So we went to an assisted living facility that had permanently disabled children in there, and we brought them gifts on Valentine's Day. And then their counterpart neighbors on the other half of the facility were elderly individuals, most of them in memory care, man. And it's sad when you walk into one of the rooms and there's not a single photo or picture. And when you hand a blanket and a gift to some woman and she says, why'd you give this to me? And says, it's Valentine's Day. She says, I'm nobody. I'm not important. We're like, of course you are important. That kind of stuff is rewarding to us. This is, I mean, we're all one accident or mistake away from being in a position where we're going to have community help. And most of us will never have to be that way, which is great, but one of us could be. And if nothing else, that's a good reason to just give back and to be integrated and help. And hell, we even help other small business owners. Matt and I have both coached small business owners on marketing, on accounting, on operational procedures. I have people in my office when I'm too busy, but I still bring them in and say, hey, let me give you a few pointers on how you can run your business better because I made these mistakes. Why don't you not make those mistakes? Matt does the same thing, and he goes over and beyond with his VFW post. He has volunteered on the state level, on the regional level, and directly at his post. I mean, many times this time of night, he's actually sitting at a post meeting, and not at his desk, you know, and it's
two big brothers, big sisters brought kids in and helped, you know, rebuild part of the post. You know, we do a lot for our community. It's good for the soul. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you, I think all of our employees, everybody that's involved in our network, when they give back, you know, there's no negative to it, you know.
Recharges us. I think that's the best way.
Yeah. So on those days that you're like, man, I'm construction out for a while, you know, go walking a puppy, you know, doing something like that. It's like, that'll get you back in the mood.
Yep.
Well, I think, you know, I got to tell you, my hat's off to you guys, because I learn a little something new every time I talk with you. And I mean, it's just, my hat's off to you for all the stuff you guys are doing in the community and with the SkillBridge program. I think it's just great. It's a credit to the type of business owners that you are and doing what you're doing. And I have to tell you, I mean, I am so thankful to hear this information and be able to share it. And hopefully it'll prod some other business owners out there. And I really want to thank both of you for taking the time to join us again this evening.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, Paul, and thank you for putting this information out. Man, you're a veteran. You're involved in veteran affairs all the time. You were a service member, right? And you didn't know much about the SkillBridge program. So what's to say that so many other service members didn't know about this? And you're providing valuable information, not just about SkillBridge, but I'm sure about everything. Even your two advertisers, your sponsors are providing great services to veterans or are veteran-owned. So, you know, you're doing a big part to give back to our community. And I salute you to that, sir. Thank you for taking your time. I'm sure that you don't make a 7-figure salary doing this.
Show them your best salute.
So, no, I will get chastised. I will not do that. I'm not going to insult anybody. It'll be a verbal salute, sir. But thank you for doing what you do.
No, I'm like you guys. You know, I do all this on a volunteer basis because I enjoy it. Gives me a chance to give back. And again, let me thank both of you for what you're doing in the community and what you're doing with the veterans, and let you know we really appreciate you joining us this evening.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. And for our audience out there, we hope that you've been able to learn a lot this evening. I know I learned a few more little points about the program and what Tommy and Matt are doing in the community. So first, and before we close out, I want to make sure that we provide you some information. With the government shutdown in place, here's some information. You can go to the VA where they can tell you specifically what's being affected in terms of by the shutdown. A lot of their services are still continuing. However, there are some things that are put on the back burner and are on delay. So I know that new approvals for burials in a lot of the VA cemeteries are being delayed right now. And so, you know, just go take a look, folks, because there's a lot of good information out there, something specific you may need to look for that you have a question about. And there's the information right there on the VA website. Take a look and see what you can find out. So again, I want to thank our guests this evening. It's been great talking with them. I want to thank the audience for joining us this evening as well. And you've been watching the WGSN-DB Going Solo Veterans Corner on the new streaming network.com. And we hope to see you on our next show.